Hey everyone, thanks very much for coming along. Today I'm going to look at Hollywood Strings 2, which was recently released by East-West Studios. I've been a subscriber to Composer Cloud for quite a long time now, and actually Hollywood Strings, the original one, was the first string library that I ever used before getting BBC and Cinematic Studio Strings and all the rest. So it has a real kind of a real place in my heart. I've got a real affinity with East-West and the string libraries that they produce. So I'm really excited to look at Hollywood Strings 2 today. It's a different library to, for the example of BBC SO. It's a chamber size string ensemble, so 21-piece ensemble with only 6 first violins, for example. So this is a much more intimate sound than we would get from other libraries, which I think is a really great thing to have in our kind of toolbox. So before I kind of review the library, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the same piece that I played in a previous video where I reviewed Cinematic Studio Strings and BBC SO, and I kind of compared them. And so this is going to be exactly the same piece of music. I've done some very kind of light programming on it. I've taken off all the reverb, I've taken off all the EQ, anything that I would have normally used in my strings. I've removed that, so we're literally going to hear the same piece of music that we heard in the previous video, but with this time with Hollywood Strings 2, so you can compare all these libraries together. So out the box, I think this is a really useful library. I think the sound of it is generally very, very good, and I particularly like the kind of intimate sound. You can really hear the kind of detail in it. It sounds like a very kind of live recording that they've made here, live samples. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change everything because it's got these 3 different kind of mood buttons, and I've just had it. Literally, I've just opened this up and I haven't changed a single thing in it at all. I want to see how soft sounds, so I'm going to go through and change all of the instruments to soft. Okay, so I've changed everything to soft. Let's hear the difference now. So again, excuse the kind of lumps and bumps in the programming. I literally did this very, very quickly just to kind of give an example of how this would maybe sound compared to CSS and BBC SO Pro. And there's a few things that I would change in the programming, of course, if it was going to be a more finalized products. But that soft mode, I mean, it puts on the mutes. Don't know what else it does exactly. as always, I haven't looked at any instruction manuals. I'm just kind of getting fired in and keen to kind of see what each of these do, but hopefully that gives you a good sense of the different kind of tones that are available here. I'll review Epic a little bit later on in the video with a different piece, because I don't think Epic would quite fit this. Okay, I'm going to now go through and look at some of the instruments a bit more individually, with a bit more detail, and look at the mic positions and all that, so that's coming up next. Okay, so I've just loaded up the first violin's legato in Hollywood Strings 2. Again, I've just opened everything up as is. I haven't changed anything in this at all. Let's just see what it's all about. I could hear the rebowing there. Which sounds really realistic. That's fantastic. This is a really great sound. I think the legato there is really nicely done. The transitions sound very good. So let's just see how the different vibratos sound. So the senza vib. That senza vib sound is absolutely lovely. Yeah, kind of that kind of Renaissance-y sort of sound. Okay, let's take a look at mic positions. So the default is for the close section and the main. Let's just hear the close section on its own, and this might show if the library's going to be useful for kind of blending with other libraries perhaps. So a really close, intimate sound. What if I click mic positions here? Oh, that's really useful. Okay. So you can see exactly which mics are activated when you click on each microphone. So you can see where the mics are actually placed. That's really useful if you've never been in a studio and seen. You can kind of visualize exactly where the microphones are. Here's the close principle. I really like that you can hear the rebowing there on the long notes. Okay, I don't think I would choose it over my cinematic studio solo strings, but it's still very useful. Okay, close overhead, so we can see that's just an overhead of in between all 6 violins. That's a really great sound. Okay, here's the mid, so we can see that's kind of over the conductor and a little bit to the left. These improvisations are not my best, but I'm just trying to cover the whole range of the instrument. Okay, and here's the main on its own. Okay, very useful. And then here's the surround on its own. One thing that's annoying me a little bit is the constant portamento. Every note is portamentoed and portamentoed? Is that a word? I'm not sure. Okay, that sounds great. So all these different mic positions are extremely useful. I really like the way that it's set out, that we can see what each microphone does. I think my favourite is the close overhead. It's nicely intimate, but still sounds like a kind of a live sound. And here we've got a lot of control over how we would want to mix it, and you really don't need any more microphones than this. Sorry, Spitfire, but this is plenty. These are all I would ever normally use in my day-to-day. It does take up a lot of RAM if you have it all loaded in. 4.2 gigabytes is a lot of RAM, but I think the quality of it is kind of worth it so far. I think that this close sound, the close section, is going to be really useful for blending. So overall, very impressed so far. I know I've spent more time on violin 1. Let's have a very quick look at some of the longs that we've got. So here's some détaché. Yeah, great. Staccato and sustained. Okay, really useful. I'm not going to go through all of these. Here's sustained, multi-sustained. This will be really useful for non-vibrato sounds. That is really fantastic. I'm not going to go through these all. Let's go through some shorts. Okay, here's some pizzicato. That's beautiful sound. And these are just the close and the main, so just the presets. I haven't changed anything here. Okay, so here are the shorts, and we use the mod wheel, CC1, to select between spiccato, staccato, staccato slur up, and marcato accent. Okay, so let's start at the bottom. That's spiccato, and then staccato, staccato slur up, and marcato accent. That's really useful to have that all in one place. It's got a real kind of grit to it. Sorry, you're probably hearing the keyboard itself actually physically make lots of noise. That's a really great sound. These are the staccatos. And then the staccato slurs up. Okay, great. Really, really useful to have that all in one place. Here's some col legno. Yeah, great sound. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the shorts. Flautando. That's a really useful, beautiful sound. I'm loving the intimacy of this library. It's great. And here's some harmonics. Oh, that's great. That really adds that iciness to the start of it, because the harmonic never speaks clearly at the start of it. You can hear that it's actually getting it wrong a little bit. That's fantastic. Because there's a difference between kind of natural harmonics and artificial harmonics, and particularly some natural harmonics really don't speak that well if they're not in the correct node, and a lot of artificial harmonics don't speak that well either. So actually having, particularly as we get higher, the element of it being slightly wrong. And especially when we try and play harmonics loud, they get closer to kind of the edge of breaking. Really impressed by that. That sounds extremely realistic, those harmonics. I'll be using this for sure. This sounds great. Okay, just loading in some tremolo now. Oh, that's lovely. So when I hit it really hard, it gives a long attack at the start of the note before it starts the vibrato. That's really realistic. You hear that damn, and then it comes in with the tremolo. A random bow noise that I'm hearing in my left can is really realistic. That's very much how recorded strings playing tremolo would sound, with that kind of rough, raw energy to it. This is one of the most impressive tremolos and harmonics and flautando sounds I've heard. Okay, we've done legatos, those are the key switches. We've done the longs. So that kind of covers Violin 1. I'm going to do very quick stuff on the other sections, but I think Violin 1 kind of, if you get your Violin 1s right, the whole library is going to be good. But we'll cover. Let's just do some quick legatos on. This is Violin 2, and let's just see. So we can see the different mic positions that are loaded in. So we're using the close section and then the main. So this is Violin 2. Really nice, intimate sound. Very, very good Violin 2 sound. It sounds, I mean, if you listen to what I played at the start of the video, you can hear they kind of complement each other really well. And just having 4 seconds this is a proper chamber orchestra. I've written music for chamber orchestra before, for like the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, and it's similar forces as this, and it just has that beautiful, intimate, quiet sound, which really forces you to listen to it actually, because it's not so overwhelming. It's got a much more direct sound to it in a really great way. Okay, so I'm not going to cover too much of this because we've sort of done a lot of this. Let's do a Bartók pit, so we didn't do that in Violin 1. This is where perhaps a smaller section is less effective, because a Bartók pits, I think you need a big section of sort of at least sort of 10 violins playing it, so that you get that kind of rough, overwhelming sort of sound. I think these effects don't work as well in chamber orchestra, because you can hear every kind of individual attack of the 4 instruments, as opposed to when you've got 10, that's much more blurred. So still useful, but I would go to a different library if I was looking for a Bartók pits effect, I think. Okay, so let's go through the shorts now. So this is Violin 2 shorts, and again it's the same on the mod wheel, going between staccato, slur up, and marcato accent. Slightly splashy playing there, but I think you can hear how useful these shorts will be and how much they will complement Violin 1. Great, okay, let's move on to the violas. I think Violin 2 are extremely useful, really complementing Violin 1. Of course, Violin 1 is mostly going to carry your melody and all that kind of stuff, so it's kind of why I spent more time on them. So here's the violas, this is their legatos. Oh, is that as high as it goes? Oh no. It should have another, at least a fifth above, I think. Again, it's got that really nice sound that you can hear the bows being retaken. Let's look at the mic positions. So we've just got 4 violas here, and again, this is the default close section and the main. This viola sound, particularly in the low range, very rich, very, very nice. And I think 4 violas is just such a great sound. This is really useful. Let's do some short. Very rich, very usable. I can see when it says it would cut through the mix, I think. I agree. I think it would be good. Okay, effects. Flautando. Let's load this in. Sounds of flautando in this is really beautiful. Beautiful, I think. They've done a great job. That's a lovely flautando sound in the viola. Harmonics, just a quick look at these. That really sounds like a natural harmonic on a viola. Really, really impressive. And then the tremolo. That bow noise is fantastic and it makes it sound so realistic. And it really sounds like a chamber orchestra as well. This is great. Really good, really, really good. Okay, celli, let's move on to them. Okay, I've just loaded in the celli. Just as it kind of comes, here it is. So just for an example, I've loaded in all the different microphones in the cello because I think it's worth doing, because the odds are that violin 1 and cello are going to be carrying your main material. And this takes up 4.5 gigabytes of RAM, so slightly more than violin 1, which takes up 4.2. This is 4.5. So again, we're going to be looking at presumably about 20 gigabytes of RAM if we use all the microphones in some sort of way. So let's go through the different mic positions. So this is the close principle of cello. Probably good for adding detail to stuff. Here's the close section. So again, we can see it's just on the 3 remaining celli. So presumably, if we try a close principle and close section, that's all 4 of them. Okay, very useful again. You can obviously muck around with the levels in there. Here's the close overhead. This was my favourite one when I did it with the first violin, so let's see if it's the same here. Gives that really nice intimate sound. I think that's my favourite one so far. Here's the mids. and then the main, so just from the conductor's perspective. I like the tone. Again, I'm just slightly less convinced by the legato because it involves so much portamento everywhere. Every note has a portamento before it. Okay, and then quick look at the surround. Great, all very useful microphones. Okay, and then the basses. Sounds really nice. So that was the legato. Here are the charts, and we're looking at, again, spiccato, staccato, and marcato. So just three different articulations being controlled here. This is a fantastic short sound because it's much more intimate. There's only three of them, I think. There's only three. Yeah, it's only three basses. You can really hear the attack. It's extremely crisp. For this sort of writing anyway, where you need that kind of aggressive kind of sound. So I think I can already imagine layering this with maybe a larger orchestra like BBC SO and combining the two, because this has a great attack. That's going to be really, really useful, that intimate sound, particularly with larger orchestras and blending them together. That's going to be what I think I will use this for. That's a really fantastic sound. Okay, and then let's just look at some sustains on the basses. That's too high. Normally you wouldn't voice basses as low together, or as close together as low as that, but extremely useful, extremely useful. I concentrated more on the violin ones and cello because they'll carry most of your material, but overall I think it's going to be really good. Okay, let's look at the full string sections now. Live 21-piece ensemble. Let's just load this in and see what happens. Okay, it's useful for sketching, I would say. Let's see what other... This could be really useful, the full string section, flautando. It's loaded up second violins, violas, cello, and basses. So I guess this is for kind of chords underneath stuff. So let's just start with some chords. See what this does. Okay, let's try and get the basses involved. So yeah, that is extremely useful for, I guess, sketching and maybe beds of chords. That's really great. It kind of decides what instruments should be playing what. So when I started playing this chord here in the opening, well, the bass could easily play this E at the bottom. Maybe there's a way of changing it, and I wouldn't mind if the violins played this chord, but equally, this sound is gorgeous. Add the bass to it. Yeah, that's a very, very useful tool. Shorts. Okay, this could be useful. Full string pizzicato. This is really useful for sketching. Yeah, great. And then obviously it leaves Violin 1 out of it, so you can add melodies to the top or something like that. This is really useful for sketching, I think. And then let's just try some sustained chords. Okay, so the bass only triggers in those lower octaves below the cello, and I wouldn't mind it to trigger there, so maybe there's a way of actually changing where it actually plays, perhaps. That's for another day, but that's something I wouldn't mind if the bass actually doubled the cello sometimes. But for sketching, this is extremely useful, these full string patches. So I think this library, Hollywood Strings 2, is absolutely tremendous and really useful to kind of add to your armoury. I'll be adding it to my template very, very soon. I think that the legatos are perhaps not absolutely perfect because I think they're a little bit portamento heavy, but that might just be because I've only just opened them up and I've got the settings wrong. I think that the variety and choice of different mic positions is really useful. We don't need any more than that, really. And I think that it's going to give us a lot of control, and I can see me actually really blending this with other libraries, particularly the bass sound for shorts gives that really direct sound, which could be really useful to kind of integrate with BBC ESO, which is a larger orchestra. That could be one thing that I kind of see being how I'll use this library. And I really just like the sound of the library. It sounds very, very intimate, very close, and very kind of authentic as well, which I think is great. And also it really does sound pretty realistic because we have, I mean, as I showed in the harmonics, it has that kind of glistening and that almost kind of sort of distorted broken sound that you get when a real string player does actually play a harmonic kind of to the extreme. I think the basses are going to be really useful, and I think that the flautando sound in this was absolutely gorgeous. Less convinced by the likes of Bartók pizzicato, but I think for Bartók Pizz, as I said, you need a larger ensemble to make that more effective, because when you've only got 21 players, you can hear almost every individual attack, and in a larger ensemble, you don't hear every individual attack, which I think is kind of what you want from Bartók Pizz. Overall, this is going on my template. If you're part of Composer Cloud, get it downloaded. It does take up quite a lot of space. It is going to be quite RAM intensive as well if you do use lots of mic positions like I love to do. But I really think it's worthwhile adding to your template and getting to know, because it's a little bit different to the other libraries that are out there. And I think it's extremely worthwhile, and I'd really recommend using it. So that was Hollywood Strings 2 by East West. If you enjoyed this video, please drop us a little like, give us a little subscribe. It'll really help me out. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be very happy to get back to you. Otherwise, see you next time. I'm going to be reviewing some Pacific Strings libraries, which I've just downloaded. So there'll be a new video of that coming out. In the meantime, stay safe. See you next time. Cheers.